So what can I say to you? But I'm off that, had to fall back. You got everybody thinking I'm all bad. You know the truth. I was always holding you down. You down. Baby, ain't what it seems for this girl. What is love? Love, what is love? You believe in it for two.
Yo, man, what it do, man? This is your boy North End Floyd, man. This is the Kickback Podcast. This is EP 178, man. Appreciate y'all tapping in with your boy, man. We got a dope show, man. I got Miss Trina Rose on the show. She's a therapist. I didn't have her on the show before, man. You know, she's gonna come on in a few minutes. I know people are tuning into the live and they're thinking like, oh, dang, he's about to address what happened today. No, I'm not addressing what happened today as far as, you know, the situation that happened on in my city. We might tap in and we might talk about that Saturday, tomorrow. But tonight, what we talking about? We talking about mental health, man. We talking about anxiety, depression. I've been seeing a lot of y'all been wilding out. I've been seeing a lot of posts as far as people talking about they're ready to give up. It's just January the 3rd, and we already got people making posts talking about they're ready to give up. But like I said, man, I got therapist Miss Trina Rose. She's coming on the show. She is a fan favorite. I don't like to use the word fan, but she's a favorite on the show, man. She's dope. And if you need a therapist, if you are looking for an individual to talk to, other than just posting your stuff on Facebook, I suggest that you tap in with her, because Facebook is not really the place that you want to go to get your therapeutic, to get your information, or just stuff that's gonna help you out. Now, they do have people with some good advice as far as what you can do, but if you want a professional, a medical, opinionated person, then I suggest you get a therapist, man. And we're gonna talk about that because our people, man, as far as our community, we look at go and get therapy as like, damn, something must be wrong with homie going through it. But nah, man, as far as like a therapist, I think that's something dope. I think that's something that can help people out with situations that they might be going through, whether it's death, whether it's financial stuff, you're going through marital problems, all kind of things, man. It's good to have you a therapist on your line. So I kind of consider her as my therapist. I call her the celebrity therapist as far as, for Southeast Texas. And we go tap in. I don't know where she is. She's supposed to be coming on, man. She's supposed to be tapping in. This is very unlike her. I did hit her up. I did tell her, like, look, we rocking out. We finna start the show. She said, all right, but you know how it is, man. Hey, people do stuff. People got kids. People got businesses. Oh, there she go right there. Let's see.
I don't know what happened. I had trouble getting in.
Oh, you had trouble? Oh, okay. I said, it's not like you. You usually.
I was just there. I was like, because I saw your message and I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll just wait. Then I was like, well, what's happening? But here we go.
Yeah, I was like,
My bad.
usually it's me telling like, hey, I'm gonna give me a few minutes and stuff, which I did tell you, but
Yeah.
when I popped on, I was like, damn, I'm surprising not to see you.
I was just sitting there waiting. Literally just sitting there waiting. So silly.
It was funny. You hit me. You was like, I didn't know you was gonna have to address the I had a press conference. I was like,
Listen, I said he might hit me up and be like, look, Trina, we gotta
I thought about
news.
I thought about it, because it's really viral now. I didn't see it on X. I seen it on IG from like big platforms like spiritual or whatever. So it's been
everything
everywhere.
you could possibly think of. It's gonna be everywhere. So at the end of the day, really, I was just picking with you because you are essentially the hood reporter. Like,
man, somebody said, man, you need to address that topic. I can't wait till your next show. I say, to be honest with you, my next show is about mental health and stuff. And they just looked at it. Right? They didn't respond. They was like, I guess they was like, okay. All right, yeah, show
they like, so you're not gonna talk about it.
Yeah, so
I mean, it's been talked about. I mean, come on now. It's like have bled that topic dry. Excuse my French. Not
Yeah,
trying to be
yeah, for sure.
crash or anything, but that's all we've been saying. Like,
Yeah,
you know what I'm
for
saying?
sure.
So
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, I mean, especially like, I ain't gonna say our city, but most of the people timelines. I mean, usually if something happens, then you kind of get tired throughout the day because you see it. Everybody's posting it and talking about it. And I was like,
yeah.
before you know it, it's like, I don't want to talk about that. I don't even want to see it no more. Let's move on to the next
Hmm.
thing.
No, for real. Like, absolutely. Very much so the sentiments. It's just like, okay, after
So,
a while, it's like, golly, you know?
yeah, shout out to Pastor Palmer. He said Rose is a nature's park veteran.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? If he's saying I'm from the South End, then of course.
Okay.
I'll never shy away from that.
Okay, for sure. South End in the building. How was your day? How's your day been going?
It was cool, you know what I'm saying? Just the typical, just still getting situated in a new space and, therapy, of course. And that's pretty much what it was today.
Yeah, for sure. I was looking back because somebody was saying, you need to talk about mental health, and I was like, yeah, I've done a lot of shows about mental health, and so I was going through all the shows I done, and then I scrolled and I kept scrolling, and I was like, damn, I don't think we did a show about mental health in 2024 because we done a lot of shows, but I say because I looked back and I kept scrolling, and I took a break, so I took a
Yeah.
long break in 2024 and I started back in I think October. But before that, at the beginning of the year, it wasn't. I don't think it was no shows. So it was like since 2023.
Okay, so the green shirt at the studio, that was 2023.
Yep, that wasn't last year.
And see, the thing was, you got me in the cahoots with Kendrick. And every time Kendrick on here, you know what we gonna talk about. I don't care what we was going to talk
Yeah,
about. You
yep.
know what we gonna talk about. Cause I'll try to sprinkle it in every so often, but now and then he pulled me over the line and then we would,
Hmm.
especially it was me, you, him, and
I think it was what's her name? It was my girl.
uh
I want to say Ashley, but it wasn't. I don't think her name Ashley. Man,
I
I'm
almost
bad
said
with names.
Erica.
It
I
is
almost said
Erica.
Erica.
It's
Is
Erica.
Erica?
Yeah, it's Erica.
Yes. And so you
My
know
bad.
how that went. It became a battle of the sexes and all that. And the whole time I'm trying to redirect. So, but
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, I mean, it has been a while. And I mean, I'm always appreciative. I don't take it lightly. Anytime that you allow me on your platform that you have worked so hard to build. We were counting how many times I was on it, and
Mm-hmm.
we didn't
Yeah,
even
it's been a lot.
realize how many
It's
times
been it's a,
that
it,
I'd been on it.
it's. I think you was the last person. I want to say you're either the last person or next last person that actually came to the house to do a show and stuff. I'm gonna
I
get
think we
back
had
to
like one
that.
more person.
I'm gonna get back to that, but I you can't let everybody in your space. So
Nah, that's how I was saying. Like, I don't know about you. I mean, do whatever your gut tells you to do, but at the same time, it's like that's why technology is cool because we can do stuff like this, and you can have all these cool conversations and stuff like that, and you can save those for a chosen few because you don't want everybody in your
yeah,
crib,
yeah, for sure. Yeah. Only VIP, only special, good vibrations and stuff as far as people that can come to the house and actually no disrespect to everybody else, but you gotta kind of earn that and you gotta have that right vibe for to come over and stuff.
I mean, you don't have to necessarily. I mean, we can go right into it. Like, you don't even have to explain it. It's like we always feel
Mm.
like we have to give a disclaimer for having boundaries. I don't want everybody in my house. If
Yeah,
they
for
get
sure.
offended by that, it's like, what you doing? Why are you offended?
Yeah, I don't even know. I mean, that makes sense. I don't know why I'm giving disclaimers and stuff. Look, you can't
Because
come to
we're
my house. You
trying
can't come
to
to my
do
house.
that. We're trying to do that. You're like, I don't want to make nobody feel bad. It's like everybody's not supposed to have access to your sacred spaces.
Hmm. Yeah. So, as far as mental health, depression, anxiety, all those things combined, it's been a while. So I guess some of the questions that I'm going to ask you is going to be kind of, uh, it's a repetitive as many shows we done, but I mean, you got new people that watch the show all the time. It's probably people that never seen this show. It's probably people that never seen me, never seen you. So, um, let's just go ahead. What kind of therapy do you specialize in as far as people watching the show and be like, okay, yeah, I was looking for a therapist.
Okay. So basically I'll tell you what types and then also the range. So, types of therapy that I do, I am a self proclaimed cognitive behavior therapist. That is the style of therapy that I start with, regardless of who you are. It's practical. So, you're understanding how your thoughts and your feelings and your actions relate to each other, how they impact each other. So, therefore, you can apply it outside of therapy. So, that's why I like it. You go to therapy, you learn some stuff, but you can also take it outside of that room and use it in your everyday life to see changes and see impact. So, that's why that's the first, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then there are some things that I believe that you can't just talk through, like some of the traumas that we've experienced. And
Mm-hmm.
so there are different modalities that I employ to work with some of those more delicate things. So I have EMDR. Sounds very technical.
Mm-hmm.
It's eye movement desensitization and reprocessing is what it actually stands for.
Mm-hmm.
But what it really is more or less a way for you to be able to heal yourself using your, how do you say, it's basically using your mind and going inside of your body versus outside of your body to heal yourself. That's the
Okay.
easiest way that I can explain it. But the acronym is EMDR. So if anybody wants to know more about that, you can easily look it up, right?
Yeah.
And then also there's another modality for trauma therapy known as brain spotting. And
Mm-hmm.
it's similar to EMDR, but it is another way to help you to heal within. Because a lot of times the trauma that you experience leaves indications like actually in your brain. You know what I'm saying? And that's what actually maintains it. So those two last therapies that I talked to you about healing those spaces so that the impact of the trauma is no longer manifest in your life. If
And
you
you call you
heal
you,
the,
you call
huh?
that brain spotting?
It's called brain spotting,
Mm-hmm.
literally. So it's two, like if you Google them, you'll see so much information about them. It's like I don't want to confuse anybody by trying to explain it here. So I'm trying to explain it in a way that makes sense. Not that anyone out there doesn't necessarily have the ability to understand it. It's just technical jargon talk. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But it is ways, it's a way to heal your trauma. Because again, I just don't think you can talk through everything. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? A lot of the stuff we deal with leaves a residual impact on how we feel, physical sensations, mental sensations, cognitive issues, things like that. So that's why they have other modalities. So I've trained in both of those as well.
Okay.
Um, Servicing 12-year-old and up.
12 and up.
That's the limit, 12-year-old and up. And I also work with couples. So I
Mm,
do couples counseling and couples coaching. It
okay.
depends on what you guys are dealing with when it comes to what that would look like. And then also groups. I do groups and I do workshops. I actually just did a workshop on the 28th to kind of wrap up the year.
Mm-hmm.
And there was vision boarding as an element of it and things like that. So that's basically what I do.
Okay, for sure. For all the people that are looking for a therapist, she just ran through the description as far as what you do. I see Terry. Terry. I rock with Terry. Terry is always watching the show every Friday. I appreciate the people that support and ask questions and do the things. And usually I kind of go. I go through the show before I start like answering questions. But Terry, since it's more recent, he asked a question about the guy who drove through the crowd in New Orleans, and he said, "What brings a person's mindset to that depth?"
I mean, that's not a question that can be answered in such a simple way. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? There are layers to that. So if I gave a short answer, obviously we would say that when you say what brings a person's mindset to that depth, see, it's like it's subjective because some people feel like it's a depth that you have to go to get to that point, and it might not even been that deep.
Mm-hmm.
We
Yeah.
don't know. You
No.
understand what I'm saying? Some people do stuff so random that something happens, they have a bad day and they do something so random, and then some people spend time calculating and planning stuff. Honestly, I have no idea which is the case with this young man, whether it's the previous or the latter, so I can't answer about what would bring him there other than pain.
Yeah.
And that's
Um.
just me speculating. I have no clue what, but pain is something else, whether it's physical. I don't know if any of y'all ever been in physical pain that really made you question some things. I think that toothaches are one form of physical pain that have people feeling some type of way. I'm gonna be honest and say, labor is not that fun. As a mother, I don't think that's fun at all. I do believe that some people have said some things maybe they didn't wish they said at that time, right? So
Yeah,
I'm
for
saying
sure.
like it's like pain changes a person. And I'm using those lighter, I'm using those lighter
Yep.
references because those are everyday experiences. So you think about that and you magnify that and just think of where it can take a person.
Yeah, for sure. Shout out to one of my close friends, Yo Yo Morgan. She is in the hospital. She had a bad car wreck and she's in the
Oh
hospital.
man.
She's going through some
Prayers
things
up
right.
for her.
She's going through some things right now. So shout out to you, Yo Yo Morgan. Get well. But yes, to continue on as far as everything and stuff like that, as far as the questions and stuff. So we already talked about what you specialized in, and somebody asked as far as what your contact info was. So I guess like towards the end of the show, or whenever you have time, you can put your contact info in there, and so
Oh, in the
people can.
chat? Okay.
Yep. So in the
For
chat,
sure.
so she'll put her contact info in the chat, so that way you could get with her after the show. Can people hit you after the show or inbox you, or is it a particular time they can respectfully hit you?
Well, yeah, and see the thing is like the easiest way to take care of all the things that they try to take care of, when a person reaches out, right? They're gonna reach out and they're gonna ask me a question like, hey, I want to get into services or something like that. And it's like if you go to the website, the Rose Center BMT.com, and I'll
Hmm.
put that there, right? If
Yep.
you go to the website, there's a contact us form where you can literally fill in your information. So you're gonna have your name, your email address, your phone number, and you get to say, whatever it is you want to say in that space versus going back and forth. But it's whatever you guys choose. I mean, you can do that. You can answer the FAQ questions on the website, which lets you go a little bit more in depth about what you want to share with me, right? So it
Hmm.
gives you a little bit more space to be more specific about what you're going through, your previous treatment experience, and stuff like that. So that way, I won't have to go back and forth, and you won't have to answer a lot of questions. However,
Yep.
if you guys choose the traditional route, a lot of people just call me they go on Google, they find the number, which is 409 212 4107, and I'll type everything in a second. But they'll literally text me and say, hey, I want to look into getting the services.
For sure.
I will put in the chat the email address, the phone number, and the website. I answer all of that. So that is like three different ways that you can get in touch with me if you have more information, especially like if you guys are inquiring, but you have questions that you know what I'm saying? Everything don't need to be in the comment section. So, if you want to talk and you have some actual questions, then I promise you I'll drop that information in there. I'm not going to be able to talk to you right now anyway, because I'm on here with y'all now.
Yeah.
So I'll make sure I get that information to you guys. And then feel free to reach out or whatever, and we can go from there for sure.
All right. So, as far as them getting the information and stuff, so what inspired Miss Trina to become a therapist? What inspired you to get into that field?
Oh man, I don't know. I really truly believe it's divine. I think it was divine intervention in a sense that my original major was computer engineering technologies.
Mm,
So I wasn't thinking no way nearby therapy, social sciences, or anything. Matter of fact, I was in the complete opposite, right?
yeah.
And I just realized that I didn't really like it that much because, like, fresh out of high school, when everybody was preparing for prom, I was getting sworn in, right? So the
Okay.
same day of prom, I was in Houston at MEPS getting sworn into the military.
Hmm.
2 weeks after graduation, I was gone to basic training while everybody else was kind of chilling, getting the
Yeah.
summer off, getting ready for college and all of that. I was gone, and it was a lot more restrictive then, right?
Hmm.
So we didn't have access to our cell phones. We had to leave all of that. We didn't have access to all these things that they get to do now. So what happened is I found myself feeling homesick because everything was so fast. It's like graduation, basic training, AIT, stationed out in the Houston area because I was going to go to Prairie View. You know what I'm saying? So they put me out there, and then I'm going to school. So I just felt homesick. So I ended up getting in a car wreck
Mm.
when I came home one weekend or whatever, and I just never ended up going back to school.
Hmm.
And so I'm out here trying to figure out stuff. My dad is very big on education, so this is not sitting very well with him. You know what I'm saying? At
Yeah, for
all.
sure.
And
For sure.
so
Yeah.
life continues to happen. And eventually I find myself back at Lamar starting over.
Hmm.
And when I started over, I end up in general studies.
Okay.
Took psychology 1301 and
Yeah.
failed it the
You
first
did?
time.
You failed that class?
Yes, because honestly, this is straight transparency. Listen, I was pregnant and I would sleep through class. I would work
Mhm.
overnight, go to school, trying my best, but I would fall asleep. And so it got to a point where my doctor took me out of school and everything, but they didn't drop my classes in time. So I ended up failing. They
Yeah.
were supposed to drop them.
Ah,
So
okay.
I go back, start over, and I'm back in it again because it's the basic classes. I didn't
Yeah.
pass it. So I'm back in them again, and I'm with a different teacher, a different professor. And won't lie, she was a young African American, pretty intelligent. She was very inspiring
Yeah.
because the representation.
Mm.
And she was going to Prairie View to get her doctorate at the time, but it just was a whole different approach to it that I could relate to a little bit more. And I really, really enjoyed learning about people and why we do what we do. But I'm not like a social worker. So I didn't want to know it from that perspective. I wanted to know people. I love learning how our brains work, how our bodies work, and how these very technical, I'm like nerding out right now, but these very technical things,
Mhm.
like signals that are sent turn into actions that we actually do, like that. If that fascinated me, and so for that reason I decided to change my major to psychology and just kind of went deeper and deeper into it. And I mean, it just kind of took off from there. And then I wanted to be a forensic psychologist.
Mm.
At first I wanted to be a forensic psychologist. I wanted to be a profiler, like with the FBI and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they were telling me that I would have to go to El Paso.
Mm.
No, I mean, I'm an army brat. My dad was stationed in El Paso when I was little. I don't ever want to go back there again. He don't ever want to go back there again. No one wants to go back there again. So I was
Uh-huh.
like, I'm not going there. So I ended up going to Prairie View and doing their juvenile forensic psychology program, which I loved. It was great. I appreciate everything on the Hill. I'm still repping the Hill. It was a good time and I learned so much.
Mhm.
And so then I ended up coming back to our area and going back to Lamar, getting some more classes in, teaching for 5 years. It was just
For
so
sure.
weird. Like,
Okay.
I was
Teacher.
just all over the place. And that was after I had my master's. I'm teaching high school. I mean, middle school, high school, and everything at this point with a master's in psychology. So it was
Mm.
just like, finally, I got back to mental health because I taught at the junior college. I taught the psychology class there, and I started working for Spindletop. And when I went back to Spindletop, that's when I started getting back in the trenches. I took a major pay cut. Honestly, believe it or not, I took a major
Hey.
pay cut from teaching to there. And they even asked me, why are you doing this? And I said that in order to get where I'm going, I need to get back where I belong, which was in mental health. And that's
Hey.
why I went back and worked my way up. So that kind of gives you an idea of how I got. I
Okay.
mean, after that, the rest is history. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hey, I feel that because sometimes you have to take like that pay cut to really kind of go where you want to go and stuff. You got to take that step back. And I asked that question before, like as far as I'm not saying you, but I asked the question as far as like your dream job or a job that you really like. Would you go into that job and let go of the job that you're making more money in, like, to pursue something that you're very passionate about? And a lot of people are saying, like, they'll let go of the job making more money to pursue something that they're passionate about. But
Mm-hmm.
we had a question as far as Miss Harris. Shout out to Miss Harris. She said, "Can you elaborate on boundaries more? I think today's society lack the understanding of how that works or work."
Oh man, it's like she's speaking to my she's here because I've been talking about boundaries with people all day.
uh
Like I've been talking about boundaries with people all day. And so it's so funny because like when you say the word boundaries, like we're not used to the first of all, the comment section, you guys are the best. Like I swear y'all gassing me up and I'm taking it all in too. So I appreciate
Man, for
every last
sure
one
on
of y'all.
everything. They doing their
um
thing in that chat.
Yeah, they are, man. I'm feeling like I'm blushing up here trying to talk
The
and these braces.
celebrity therapist in the building.
But nah, the thing about boundaries, man, like boundaries save relationships and boundaries save lives. They really do. And we are so afraid of them. And it's like, it's so much I can say about this, guys, but I'm gonna try to keep it short. We got boundaries when it comes to talking to people and being honest. We're afraid to be honest with people. That's about boundaries as well. Why are we connected to people that we can't be honest with? You know what I'm saying? Because now when I have to start lying to you, or when I feel like I have to start lying to you, or you feel like you have to start lying to me, that's boundary violations already, because we're not being honest with each other. So how do we operate in the reality of what we are, what we have, or who we are to each other when we're not even being honest about those things? That's a boundary situation. When we talk about how often we say yes when we really mean no, or when we give these blanket yeses when there are some specifications, there are some conditions that you're not speaking about that matter. So if you tell somebody they can do something and you don't give them those conditions, and then they violate those conditions, you're angry with them. Maybe you're mad at yourself, or maybe you're not holding yourself accountable for the fact that you didn't even communicate that. Right? And so it's like, so there's there. And then honestly, we don't respect our own boundaries. So how you gonna expect somebody else to respect your boundaries? You don't respect your own boundaries. You know what I'm saying? And it's like a lot of people don't even know their boundaries. Like they don't even know, how am I going to communicate something to someone else that I don't even understand myself?
Yep. Man, you
You know what
smoking
I'm
it right
saying?
now. You in the
Because
zone
the
right now.
boundaries,
Yeah.
listen,
They going crazy right now. They're like, "Ooh, she let her cook."
hey
What gonna say?
friend.
Let her cook.
I see my sis in the comments too. One of my closest is in the comments,
Oh,
no
okay. She
doubt.
said, okay, yeah." She said, "My girl." She said, "My sis." I'm thinking that was maybe like a sorority sis, like something like that.
Nah, I mean, you know what? I ain't gonna lie. I got my little groups, but no, that's family right there. That's one of my friends. That's family. It's family right there.
Oh, okay. Shout out to the family for sure on everything. Yeah, man. Hey, the chat is loving you right now for real. The chat going.
Oh, yes, for sure.
Shout out to
Man,
the
that's why I
chat.
say I'm
Hey,
looking like I'm just reading too. Like, yep, I agree. That's all
hey,
I can say is when you say it,
yeah.
you say it. And no need to reinvent the wheel. But guys, I mean, we can do literally, Floyd, I'm telling you, we can do a whole podcast on boundaries alone. Because the
Mm-hmm,
thing about it is people's misunderstanding of what it means is problematic.
mm-hmm,
People learning about them and not applying it properly is problematic. It causes issues. You know what I'm saying? And
mm-hmm.
the thing about it is, if we are learning how to, you have to understand that boundaries shape your life. It's the lines that you're drawing, they literally shape your existence. So that's why it's so important for you to know yourself, to have that self-awareness, so that you can shape your existence in a way that complements your desires, that complements what you want your life to be. But when you don't know those things, then how do you shape it?
Yeah, that's
You know what I'm
that's
saying?
what's
How do
up.
you really shape it? It even goes into how we do relationships. It's like we don't go into relationships knowing what we want all the time. We go into relationships to just see what happens.
Mm.
And it's like, but if you keep going from relationship to relationship to just see what happens, and you're not collecting information about your experiences, you're not growing in your self-awareness. That's why you keep on just seeing what happens.
Instead of
You know what I'm saying?
communicating
So,
with instead of communicating with that person and letting the person know, like, this what I'm expecting and wanting out of this relationship that we have, instead of just freestyling and going with the flow and see if it's gonna work out and develop into what they want.
yep, exactly. But fear causes people to shed their boundaries, to deny their boundaries, to hide them. And sometimes fear causes people boundaries to be a little bit too rigid and too tough. You see what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So it goes both ways, So you can all right, sweets. Nah, sit up here throwing out my name.
Yeah, yeah. She flowing right now. Don't be throwing off with this pumpkin. Text her that
But
later. Let her
nah,
cook right now.
but you know what I'm saying? So it's like, girl, let me see. Trying to make sure I know what my point was, because she caught me off guard with that
Yeah,
when I
shoot. I'm
started.
about to
But
golly.
nah, the whole point, like I said, when we're talking about just boundaries in general, I wanted to make sure we understood that there are times that we have actually referenced boundaries even coming up and we didn't know that's what we were talking about. So like when you say somebody has crossed the line, they went too far this time or that type of stuff, you were talking about boundaries. You were talking about they overstepped, you know what I'm saying? They the crossing the line or whatever. That indicates that there was a line drawn or there was a limit set and you went past it. You know what I'm saying? And so it's
Yep.
kind of like that. And so I think ultimately though, again, I always try to bring it back to yourself, because there's no way for you to have healthy boundaries if you don't have a healthy relationship with yourself. Who you're protecting? We protect whom we love.
Yeah.
The stronger my relationship is with me, the more I'm going to be aware and willing to protect myself with my boundaries, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then sometimes what ends up happening, so you gotta tell me this. This is one of the most bizarre things that I both witnessed and I've been a part of. Because I'm not, I'm human too. You know what I'm saying? I have not arrived. I've had relationships that I probably shouldn't have stayed in and stuff like that. That's a part of life. And so the thing is, though, like she said, you're so afraid to have a discontinuing of a relationship that you violate all your own boundaries. You don't set lines. You know what I'm saying? You're doing all these things. The communication is trash, and you
Mm-hmm.
find yourself still staying in it because you just want to be in something. But
Yep.
I just want people to understand that you deserve to be in something healthy.
I think they need to
And
tell
it's
themselves that
possible.
sometimes.
Oh, please tell yourself that, because it's very possible. Words have power. What you tell yourself is what's going to dictate what you do. So if
Mm-hmm.
you tell yourself that you can't say no to people and they still love you, then it looks like that you're going to stay connected with people that don't like to hear no,
Yeah.
or their love is conditional on whether you say yes. I tell people all the time, one of the best ways to know how a person really feels about you is to tell them no.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Facts. And
Just
when you
say
get that,
no.
yeah, facts. Yeah.
Everybody likes you when they're always getting the yes. And sometimes because of that, like, we do all this extra stuff, overextending ourselves, treating ourselves like the sacrificial lamb just to continue saying yes to people to continue to get that love. But
Mm.
genuine love is still present even when I can't.
Facts. Miss Lavish Lachey, she say why most people lack accountability.
Okay. So thanks for that question, by the way. I do believe that a lot of us lack accountability because, one, we wasn't taught to take accountability. And so you have to think back to who we pay attention to, right? Like who taught us how to human.
Mm-hmm.
And it's no shot to anybody's parents. I mean, I'm not judging, I'm just calling it what it is. When we're in our families, right? If the way conflict was handled was by acting this way, a lot of times we just kind of repeat the cycle. This is how we handle conflict. So if you come from a fighting family, then every time it gets up an uproar, everybody it's time to throw hands. Like, they have families that's how they handle stuff. And guess what? They all go show up wherever the next family function is like it was nothing, because
Mm-hmm.
that is their understanding with their family. But it really depends, on what you were taught when it comes to accountability. It depends on how you view accountability. A lot of times it also depends on your definition. Like, what does it even mean to be
Yeah.
accountable? Now, for me personally, I believe that there's a such thing as self-criticism and accountability. And it's not like I made these up. Like, there is self-criticism, accountability, but I think people think these are one and the same, and they're not.
Mm-hmm.
You do not have to put yourself down and belittle yourself and talk crazy to yourself and feel negatively about yourself to hold yourself accountable.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
When
Right.
you hold yourself accountable, love is present. When you criticize yourself, it's not. Just like if you had a child and you're trying to hold your child accountable,
Mm-hmm.
you're doing it out of love. Right? You want
Right.
them to be better. You want them to understand. But when you simply just criticize a person, they don't get the lesson. All they feel is your aggravation about whatever happened. And a
Yeah.
lot of times the criticism is about the person and it's not about the actual act. You're talking about the person. So if a person is used to either being criticized by others or criticizing themselves, then that's how they hold themselves accountable. Well, they don't always feel good. And if I'm telling myself that accountability and self-criticism is the same thing, and you
Yes.
talk about hold myself accountable,
Yep. Especially if it don't feel good.
Uh, it feel better
Especially,
to act like I did nothing.
yeah,
It feel better for
exactly.
me to say that if you wouldn't have did that, I wouldn't have did that. Yeah,
Yeah,
that right there. And it's like, who is growing from that?
yeah,
You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? So that's the point. And then accountability. See, this is the thing, and I want to tell you guys this, especially those of you who are considering therapy or considering any journey that has to do with self discovery,
Mhm.
right? That self awareness and just ultimately being a better version of yourself. You're going to see things, you're going to learn things that are going to make you uncomfortable. Do not let that stop you, right?
Yep.
Because that's where accountability comes in as well. You know, when you really start going into a vulnerable space where you can be yourself and no one's going to judge you, you have to open up, you know what I'm saying? And you start to see some things and you go hear some things, and you can't be mad at the therapist because guess what? They're not attacking you. See, they're the most objective person in your life.
Yeah, yeah,
You know, and so at that point, the accountability comes into play when you realize that I'm holding myself accountable because I love myself and I want to be better. And then when you start holding yourself accountable, then yes, you may want to hold other people accountable. But the thing about it is the way you manage yourself with other people is going to help you to where you remain accountable for yourself and you let other people be accountable for themselves. And when they manage or mismanage themselves, or shall I say mismanage you act accordingly. And just like that, we're back to boundaries.
for sure. See, I got a question. Y'all got some good questions in the chat, but I got some questions too. I did my homework. I did. I've been
Yes,
studying.
ma'am, Miss Adams. I concur. I'm right on page with you as well.
Okay. So what do you
Mm.
think as far as what should someone look for in a therapist to ensure that it's a good fit?
Okay, another good question. So first of all, guys, I want to tell you this and tell you now. You are worth the search. Okay? You are worth the search. You do not have to find a therapist. And I know sometimes this is already a hard process for you. It's uncomfortable. I understand it, but you are worth the search. So if you get with a therapist and you realize this therapist is just not a good fit for you, it don't have to mean that they're a bad therapist. They could be the best therapist for someone else. I'm not the best therapist for everybody. I mean, honestly, I think that people find me relatable and things like that. But again, I'm just not the best for everybody, and that's okay. But I want you guys to understand from a therapist that if you decide at any point that this therapist is no longer working for you, find you another therapist. Some of us will actually help you find another therapist. I will.
Mhm.
It is no, I don't take that personally at all because the situation is about you. When you come in that space, it's about you. So at the end of the day, I will help you find another therapist if you allow me. But I tell my clients out, if you ghost me, I'm not gonna hunt you down. I'm not gonna bother you.
Mhm.
And some clients actually want you to do that, but I'm not gonna do that, right?
Some
Because at the,
clients want you to like when they ghost you. How does
yeah,
that?
they want you to reach out. They want, because sometimes some people are seeking attention.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? And they're seeking that care, and that does happen. Sometimes people do experience that transference with the therapist. Because remember, when you come in our office, that whole hour or so is about you.
Yeah.
You have a person that is paying all complete attention to you. So you have to remember what type of relationship it is, because that's what they're supposed to do. But I'm not the therapist that's gonna chase you down to come to your appointments.
For sure. You're
I
not gonna
have
be
you set up
calling
with,
and all
oh no,
that.
no. Because I have reminders already set up for you
uh-huh.
that are going to remind you, but that's as far as it goes, because that is all a part of your process. Sometimes you might not be feeling up to it. The ebbs and flows of this is all a part of the process. All of
Mhm.
it. Your skips, your all of that is a part of your process. You know what I'm saying? But as far as like when you're looking for a therapist, you want to make sure that if you have some specifications about who you want to see, honor that in the beginning. Figure it out later. If you decide you feel like that's a bias that you have that you want to work on it in therapy. But find a criteria that is conducive to you being comfortable enough to show up. So if you know that you're not comfortable speaking with males,
Mhm.
if you know you're not comfortable with speaking with males about certain topics, if you don't think that ultimately you'll feel comfortable talking to them, because some of the issues you have happen to deal with males. First of all, there are plenty of male therapists that can actually be objective, believe it or not, But at the same time, what I'm saying is for you, your awareness lets you know that even if he can be the most objective person, you won't hear anything he says. So that's not your therapist. That's not your therapist. You know, if you want somebody that you think is going to be able to relate to you, then you may look for a therapist that looks like you. There is a directory that I used to be a part of called Therapy for Black Girls. That's the name of the directory. You go online and it's specifically for people who are looking for a certain criteria, a certain look of a therapist because of all the history of the things that we've been through, right?
Right.
So make sure you know if you have any limitations or any criteria that would eliminate somebody. If you don't want a person that's a certain age, then make sure you put that in your filters when you're searching for a therapist. If you want a therapist that is going to allow you to come in office and they say they're virtual only, they're virtual only. Don't even go through the process of trying to sign up with them thinking that they're going to change it just for you. Let things be what they are, right?
Right.
I think maybe consider the location. You know what I'm saying? So, like, some people I see are from Mid County. Some people drive from Port Arthur, Bridge City, and everything. But if you know you don't want to make that big of a commute, make sure you find somebody that's closer to you. And again, I can't stress enough. If you feel like it's no longer working for you, or you just get a bad feeling, you don't owe it to anybody but yourself, even if it's nothing. If it turns out to be nothing, you still owe it to yourself to ensure that you try to find somebody that you can at least feel comfortable enough to be uncomfortable in front of. And I think that that's ultimately it. Huh?
Now you do virtual and
I do
in
both.
person. You do both? Okay.
Yeah.
And some people don't understand. Some people don't know that your job actually kind of pays for that, right?
For who?
I mean,
You talking about like EA? Oh yeah. Okay, that was good. I like what you did.
yeah.
Because that's another point that I like to point out to people as well. So yes, you have typically if you have insurance, you have EAP benefits, and EAP benefits are employee assistance program benefits. So most jobs, like I say, with insurance have it, and it ranges from either 3 sessions a year, some do 6 sessions a year. Some actually give you some sessions, and depending on who you're seeing and what they're reporting, they keep adding sessions. So it really just depends on what EAP program your job has. But most, I'm saying most because I don't know everything, but most jobs that have insurance also have EAP. And they have a list of therapists that are in their EAP program. I've even had people that had their EAP call me because they wanted to be seen by me, but I wasn't in network with them to see if I wanted to join their network. So sometimes it just depends on what your insurance is and stuff like that. And then you can try it out. So now it's actually cost free for you to actually try out a therapist and see, how it is for you.
Oh, okay. That's for sure. I mean, like I said, a lot of people don't understand that, they might, oh, that's too expensive and all that. And like you said, it just depends on your EAP as far as like 3 sessions. And that's like hour sessions, or it just depends on what they actually paying
Yeah,
for.
it really depends on the therapist. Some people their EAP sessions are 45 minutes. Some people do the typical session like the regular session. So it really just depends on who the therapist is, and they'll be able to specify that for you. But it shouldn't be no less than 45 though, for sure.
Okay. So before the show, I mean, before you came on, I was talking about as far as having you on and how people should seek a therapist instead of running to social media to address their situation. So here's the question: how do you think social media impacts mental health? Because social media is really big these days compared to 20 years ago from what our parents and grandparents was going through. So
And it's so interesting though, in every era they had their social media. You know what I'm saying? When the TV became a thing,
yeah.
they were like, what, this evil box is bringing this stuff into our household. And
Yeah.
for the longest, some people didn't have TVs because they wasn't finna welcome that in their house. I imagine radio was the same way. It's like you listening to that box that's spewing all that nonsense. You know what I'm saying? So then it keeps going. So ours is social media, the newspaper, dare I say, what was that? The National Enquirer and all of those weird magazines that
Yep.
was spewing all of that celebrity gossip and all of these lose weight fast. And I mean, every era has their modality for what people would call unwanted influence and all of those things. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the day, just like those things, it's like the ideas. It's like it has to do with the mentality. It has to do with the person that's absorbing the information or the ideas, whether it was on radio, TV, the newspaper, the magazines, or social media. It really truly has to do with, once again, going back to boundaries. That is another boundary issue. You need to have boundaries set. You need, first of all, let me be very clear. You do not have to be harmed by social media. There are too many different settings and parameters that you can literally block people, unfollow people, snooze people. You can simply delete them. You can also put your phone down, right? You can put your phone down. You can have timers on your phone that can actually give you an indication of how much time you're spending on social media.
Yes.
You can actually make now, I understand that the pandemic caused some issues for a lot of our young kids. My daughter was one of them. You know, she was a graduate of 2020. And so her whole senior year was obliterated. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And I know that even the years to follow, a lot of them kids didn't have any other way to engage with other peers of their age group, some of those kids, stuff like that. So I definitely understand that. But the biggest thing that causes problems for us when it comes to boundaries, communication, self-love, self-care, our health, and everything is balance.
Yeah, for sure. Lavish Lachey said something cut out. She said, "Do you accept?" I guess when we was talking about EAP, she was saying, "Do you accept?"
Oh, okay. So the EAP came first, and then her "Do you accept?" That's what. Okay, yes. I am a part of certain EAP programs. It just depends on which one it is, and then I know for anyone who has Cigna, their EAP and theirs is all in one. So if you have Cigna insurance, the same way we do with just regular insurance, they have y'all's in it, but the other companies have different ones. So it just depends on which one it is.
Yeah, for sure. Shout out to Cigna. I got Cigna, so.
Oh, but as far as social media, it yes. So short answer is yes, it does. Regardless if we want to agree or we like it or not, it does. However, it's the imbalances that bother us. Like, you can't get all of your feedback and all of your information about yourself, first of all, from anybody else other than you, but ultimately from social media. Everything I think about myself, everything I think about the world, everything I think about my world is dictated by somebody that is not even a part of my world. You know what I'm saying? It's like the pressure, the cyberbullying that goes on. You know, it's too easy for, honestly, cowards to really harm somebody. And I'm sorry, but the biggest lie the biggest lie told to us when we were younger is that sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That's a lie. Words hurt like hell. Words make leave wounds sometimes that don't heal for some people. You know, it leaves wounds that are not very visible sometimes. And you know, for us, we got to see it to believe it. You know, that's why a lot of people don't believe that people are depressed, because it's not bad enough. They need to see the person trying to kill themselves. They need to see a person trying to harm themselves seriously or downtrodden to believe that they're depressed, when you have people that you work with that are functionally depressed every day. Some of them come to work and they're the life of the party. You know, they make everybody laugh. They're just the sweetest thing ever. Just the coolest person ever, and they are depressed. So at the end of the day, I think ultimately social media is just adding to the distractions. It's adding to the unrealistic expectations that we have for ourselves and others. And ultimately, we have to remember that most of social media is curated. So what you're seeing is what people want you to see.
Yeah,
and that you don't have to put all your business on there either, because that's the other part. That's the other way that it affects your mental health. You put your business on there, people comment on it, and then you say mind your business. You put it on a public forum.
Yes,
people are gonna comment.
Yeah, for sure. And like you said, like, because let's just say you got 3,000 friends on your, let's just say Facebook, as far as the platform, and you don't see all 3,000 people's comments. They have a particular timeline that they have you seeing, so that could actually, like you said, that can affect your, you know, your what you think about certain things as far as what social media is allowing you to see. Because there's been plenty of times where people was like, I'm only seeing the same 12 people post and stuff. So I guess you do have to understand that like you're being curated like a timeline, like they're they're having you see these type of things. And I think it's kind of hard for some people to like, you know, understand the situation and understand what they're seeing and understand what they can take control of. Because I say all the time, like I'm quick to block somebody. I'm quick to unfollow somebody because I don't have to see them. It's easy. Like social media makes it kind of easy to kind of just erase that person, not from your life, but just seeing the negativity that comes from that person that might be disturbing you. So I see the benefits.
Yeah. But then some people also don't want to not be able to see as well. And see, that's the issue. You understand what I'm saying? They put themselves at risk because they want to be able to see. They want to be able to see the other side also. You know, and so it's like you have to, first of all, you got to be more interested in yourself.
Yes,
Like
facts though, for real.
than other people. Because that's what kind of drives the social media craze. Just so interested in what other people have going on. I promise you, people that have stuff going on in their own life, they not that worried about this stuff like that.
Yep.
They're not. And so that's why it's important to have some things going on for you. You
Mm-hmm.
know, have some things you're doing that are not associated with phones and laptops and the social media. Have some tangible things that you do outside of that so you can stay grounded. Because that's the other part. A lot of people they're not grounded. Their roots are not planted in anything. And so for that very reason, they just kind of go. They're not solid. It's not solid. That's the best word for it. It's just not solid. You know what I'm saying? They're not rooted in anything, so they deal with everything.
Yep.
And if you rooted in something, you're not gonna even have time to. You just don't have that much. We don't have that much time. I know everybody say everybody got the same 24 hours. That's fine, but I don't have that much time.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? To be that invested in other people's stuff. You can be invested in your stuff or their stuff. You know what I'm saying? You choosing to be invested in their stuff and your stuff is just going by the wayside.
You know, I had a particular lady on the show and she does yoga. You know who I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And Nicole, and we was talking about how yoga, you know, it helps with like depression and it kind of helps ease the tension and stuff like that. So how can you, I mean, is it something that you can correlate as far as like with mental health, like yoga? Because you've done it, you've been through the to sessions and stuff. So
I do it all the time. And
mhm,
it's a good time. Now the thing about it is, um, yoga is beneficial for many different reasons, physically, mentally, and emotionally. And the fact is, a lot of times if you don't understand the human body, then you don't understand how it works. So it just looks like people rolling around stretching when that's not what it is. It's stretching, it's all of that. But you are strengthening your body. You are also releasing toxins that are stored in your joints. So a lot of times when we're walking around stiff,
mhm,
or we have achy joints, is because you have to understand that every time you have an emotional response to anything, there are chemical reactions that happen in your body that's associated with every emotion that you experience.
mhm,
That's what supports the experience of said emotion. So if your signal in your brain says in your emotional center that you're happy, then it's going to send a signal for you, maybe for you to smile, maybe for you to feel light, maybe for you to feel that warmth. That is all calculated. That is all a part of your body's response to that emotion. Well, think about when we get angry. There's some
yeah,
chemicals associated with that as well, right? When we
mhm,
feel stressed, when we feel threatened. If you ever notice when your fight or flight kicks in, all of the blood that is in your digestive area, it tends to rush away. So it's not, obviously, it's not there to tend to digesting, because whenever you are triggered, you're not eating typically at that time, you're acting,
mm,
right? And
yes,
so what happens is a lot of people that experience excessive stress end up with gastrointestinal issues.
mm,
Because see, the thing is, you're stressing. And a lot of times in our society, we don't stress because we're in imminent danger. We stress because bills are due. We stress because, something didn't go right the way we wanted it to go. We stress because road issues, like traffic issues or something. And so what you're doing is you're creating those chemicals and they just sit in your body. So think
yeah,
about how sometimes people always walk around ready.
Yeah.
We're not supposed to be always ready. I stay ready so I don't have to get ready. That is survival. That is stress talk. That is terrible because you
Yeah.
don't ever get a chance to relax. Your body doesn't get a chance to say, okay, I'm not threatened anymore. And so what
Mm.
ends up happening is those chemicals that are being produced that are only supposed to be available when needed are always present. And that is where disease comes in. So
Mm.
when you do yoga, not only are you de-stressing, see if you're distressed, which means you're overwhelmed, you de-stress by doing things like yoga and exercise. Now there are four happy chemicals that we have that our body produces. We have dopamine, which a lot of people have heard of. We have
Yep.
serotonin, a lot of people have heard of that. We have oxytocin, and we have endorphins. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now your oxytocin is your love hormone. Your dopamine is your reward chemical. Your serotonin is your mood stabilizer, and your endorphins is your pleasure chemical, also your pain reliever.
Mm-hmm.
If you got people running around here with unhealthy diets, with predispositions where their body doesn't produce enough serotonin, drug use that is affecting the way that your body produces these things, then your mood is all over the place because you don't have enough serotonin in your body. So
Mm.
if you don't have enough serotonin in your body, then yeah, what's balancing your mood? Nothing is there to do that. So when you're doing yoga and when you're stretching actually produces serotonin, and I believe it produces endorphins too.
Yeah.
One or the other.
You got some
Yeah.
people that don't stretch at all. Stretching is important. I always say, man, stretching is
Listen,
important.
hey,
A
listen,
good
guilty.
stretch. Whew.
Guilty. And I used to dance. I was an athlete. I mean, obviously, military and everything. And I was one of the worst stretchers ever, for
you
real. It just felt like a nuisance to me when it's so
you
much
never
more
you
than
never
that.
stretched.
I just wasn't good at it. Well, maybe, but I definitely wasn't that person that was doing it as much as I do it now.
Yeah.
But nobody's thinking that if I stretch, I'm going to feel better.
Yep. I
Nobody's
mean,
thinking that, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, there are people that have emotional releases because stretching has released those chemicals and those toxins that's maintaining that feeling. And a lot of times they say, I saw a few people, and even Nicole said it, and I'm not going to say whether it's women or men. I've heard women, but I've heard all of us too. But they say we store a lot of our trauma in our hips.
no, I
And
heard that
so if
before.
we Yes. So think about when you're stretching, when you're doing yoga, how you're able to release that because you're holding on to it. And so it's affecting how you feel, it's affecting how tight and tense you might be in that area. You
Hmm.
walking around stiff and don't understand why. These are some of the benefits of yoga. So, yes, I do think it can help with a lot of things.
Miss Adams said we do. Oh, shout out to
So if
Miss
you're
Adams.
stretching and stuff, you're able to produce the chemicals that can to counter depression.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And you're also doing something that's gonna be healthy for your body too. So
What do you think is some of the misconceptions people have about therapy? Because it's a lot of them that people, when they think about therapy and going to see a therapist, what do you think is like some misconceptions they have about that?
they think that the therapist is going to fix them. I don't fix people. They want to be fixed. They come in and it's so they are so willing and so open, but they think that you're gonna take them and just mold them into the person that
Yeah.
they want to be. And so a lot of people believe they don't understand the work that goes into therapy,
I can
the
see
work that
people
they're
going
gonna
to
need
that.
to do.
I can see
Mhm.
people going to you and other therapists thinking that they're gonna be fixed. Is that a letdown? Like when I'm thinking of that, is that kind of like, damn, man, like if she's not gonna fix me, then what is she gonna do?
She's gonna empower you. She's gonna help you to be able to take ownership of your own life. And when you embrace that ownership, then you go actually manage it more effectively. She or he rather, or they're gonna equip you with tools.
Hmm.
Tools that you may have had and didn't know how to use, tools that you didn't know about that's gonna work for you. She or he is gonna teach you that people are um worth trusting, because sometimes you come in and you don't believe that you can trust anybody. It's that type of thing. It's so many things that we are gonna do for you. My thing is just that I'm not gonna fix you.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna empower you and help you to work on yourself. And if that's what you say you go do, then I'm gonna help you to fix yourself then. But I'm not gonna fix you. You know what I'm saying? And then I also try to help people to I think honestly I tend to be a guide because I help people find themselves. Because sometimes you've lost your way. You know what I'm saying? You just have
Mm-hmm.
lost a true sense of who you are. So a lot of the questions I'm asking you, you can't really answer them because you haven't thought about them.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes something as simple as what's your favorite color? I don't have one. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you like? I don't know. So it's like when you feel yourself saying, I don't know a lot about yourself, that means that you're not aware, that awareness is lacking. And so sometimes we just give you a space. A lot of you guys are equipped to do so much, but you don't have a space there where you feel vulnerable enough to do it. So you
Yeah.
go and you meet with someone that creates that space for you, and that space is invaluable because
I,
it's a space you couldn't find anywhere else.
I like what Adam said. She say some people think going to therapy makes you weak, and not understanding the strength it takes to embrace your need for outside resources.
Baby, listen. In a culture like ours, that's saying that you don't tell nobody our business. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
not saying that our ancestors didn't have reasons to do that, but I teach people about mindfulness. And mindfulness says that I'm living in the present moment that I am existing in. So when I no longer had to live a life surviving, I stopped being a survivor and I started thriving. And that's not to sound cute. I literally had to realize you're not surviving anymore. So why are you acting like you're still surviving? Right?
Mm-hmm.
You got to get out of that mode because it no longer
Facts.
suits you.
Yep.
It no longer suits you. You're not a survivor anymore. You're supposed to be thriving. You're past that and you're still living like you're not. And
Yeah.
as long as you keep living like you're not, you're not.
Yeah. It's growth. You know, and I could compare it to just for me comparing it to like when you used to like just being in the hood back in the days, that was the thing. And that's something that I just don't do anymore. I don't do a lot of things I did when I was younger. My mindset is completely different now. And it's like
Mm-hmm.
some people just they don't understand and they don't respect the growth of an individual, just seeing it from that side. So,
For sure. And you have to respect your own growth though. You find
hmm
yourself still trying to mix in with people that y'all don't even like the same stuff anymore. Maybe
hmm
y'all used to, but y'all don't. That does not have to be a knock on that person, and it does not have to be a knock on you. It doesn't have to be that something's wrong with them because they're not where you are yet. That's their journey. But they don't have to necessarily try to dispel or ridicule your journey either. That's where the boundaries come in. I'm gonna respect your evolution, and you respect where I'm at too. We gonna respect each
yeah,
other's journey, and if our journey takes us separate places, then it looks like that's where the end is for us. But we have to normalize relationships just fading out because that's the natural course of things. It doesn't always have to be a fallout. Why
mhm,
am I still trying to act like this is something that I like to do when I don't even have enough time to chill like I used to? I'm still trying to go around and let people know I'm still good. It's still me.
mhm,
No, you're not still that
mhm.
person though
Yeah,
anymore.
yeah. Yeah, and I think a lot of people go through that. I see a lot of men going through that. A lot of men have friends that they grew up with, and they don't do the same things that they used to be. Some men get married, some men have girlfriends, some men have kids, and some of their homeboys they don't have that. Or some of their close friends don't have those type of things. So you can't relate like that. You can't go out to the club and hang out till 3 in the morning because you have a wife and kids to go home to, and your friends don't. And they might try to influence you to stay late. And now it's a battle to respecting each other's boundaries. And so it becomes a conflict. So it either ends the relationship or y'all come to a respect and mutual agreement, like, okay, hey, such and such, he can't hang out with us like that at night. So let's do something where he can hang out. Let's have a card game or let's go, a barbecue for the family or something like that. So I think as far as relationships, they can last if both parties want them to last. And then they could just fade away when they really don't want to try and just want to just go their separate ways. So
I think you're right on all accords because the fact of the matter is, at the end of the day, It is a boundary thing because, you know, if my friend gets married and, you know, I'm respecting what that means to her, what that means to him, then I'm going to operate within the parameters of how they respect it, or how what that changes for them. So, you know, some people are like, oh yeah, Floyd didn't change. It's like, yes, I have. Like, we have to start embracing it. We need to
Yeah,
stop
for
letting
sure.
people speak our truths to us and letting our truths become an insult. You're saying it to me like that's an insult. I'm over here celebrating. So when you be like, oh, you changed, I'm like, yes,
Yeah.
yes, I have. Thank you for noticing.
I like that. You
Because
got to
it's been
celebrate
some
the
work.
change. Yeah. You have
Oh,
to
it's been some
celebrate it.
work
Yeah.
going on over here, baby. So I'm glad you can see it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what it has to be. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? You do you and I'ma do me. So, but I think that ultimately, like the young lady said, as well, Miss Adams, some people are afraid that it's gonna make them look weak, when first and foremost, one of the biggest, hardest decisions that a person makes in this process is the decision to go. That
Mhm.
is like the hardest part, because you're constantly reasoning with yourself on why you shouldn't. You're constantly telling yourself that you shouldn't have to go to nobody else to talk about this. You should just figure it out. Why you can't just, and if you really think about it, you say, why can't I just be like everybody else? Well, first of all, you're not. But second of all, we say that like we like how the people around us are handling stuff.
Mhm.
You don't even agree with how they handling stuff, you know, but you just don't want to be different. You know what I'm saying? Different may mean better, more evolved, but you just don't want to be different. It's like, listen to me clearly. Choosing therapy is choosing you. I know everybody's not ready for therapy though,
Mhm.
and that's fine. But I'm just encouraging you to ensure that you're doing something to work towards feeling better as yourself, being better as yourself, knowing yourself better. That's what I'm more concerned with. Whether it's listen the content that you listen to, there's some really nice podcasts out there. I mean, obviously, look, you're on a podcast right now, and this
Mhm.
is what we're talking about. You know, so you have different mediums where you can get information. There are books, there are groups. Some of us do workshops, just like we had, you know, this past weekend or whatever. Like, you can get in and still get information that help you without necessarily being in traditional therapy if that's not what you want. However, if you know that you've been dealing with a certain set of experiences, symptoms, or whatever, and it's been going on for a while, like at least 6 months or more, and you're not seeing a change in that, you may want to consider talking to somebody by yourself. That's just the bottom line. Even if you're just going to get some clarity,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? And if you go to therapy, you don't have to stay. Like, you're not stuck. I mean, I ain't heard no contracts, you know, where a private practice therapist is saying that you have to stay. When you
Yeah.
decide you can't do it anymore, you can't do it anymore. So know that you always have the right to stop if you want to.
For sure. A few more questions before we get out of here. This has been a very dope show. Also, let people know that if you miss this show, you can watch it on YouTube. You can also listen to it again on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and such. It's on pretty much every platform that has podcasts where you can listen to audio and video. So, a lot of people say, "Man, I missed the show." Well, you can watch it again on Facebook or you YouTube Live if you want to see the video version of it. Also, as far as see, it's a lot of questions that I had for you. It was a lot, but we had so many good questions from people that was in the comments and stuff like that.
Yeah, for
That
real.
that we just jumped on them. But do you see any trends? Any trends you see shaping the future of mental health as far as therapists? I know one of them is virtual, but is there any other trends out there that's like helping shaping the future of it?
I do think that, I don't know necessarily trends, but I'll just say some different modalities where people are doing things that is essentially a part of their wellness journey. So, you do have people that meet virtually because they can't meet in person, but I'm thinking more or less of people that are, you know, their friend groups are starting to do more wellness oriented things,
Hmm.
right? So, you know, you have your friends, like they're planning things that are about these things that we hear about, like self-love, self-care, and stuff like that. People are going to retreats, where they really get to spend um uninterrupted time really working on some of these mental wellness related things, right? So people are
Mhm.
going on retreats. You're starting to see a lot more of those pop up. I think that people are starting to getting more into the non-traditional therapeutic spaces. So, people do walk and talk therapy.
Walk and talk.
You know what I'm saying?
What is walk and talk therapy?
Well, it's like for people that don't want to necessarily be confined to the office.
Okay.
So they might meet with
Oh.
their client. Of course, there are some parameters and some
Hmm.
legalese, if you will, paperwork that you sign. But instead of being in the office, they may actually go walking together and they'll talk and still have that therapy, but they're not confined into the office. So some
Okay.
people do stuff like that. Some people meet in different spaces again, just to kind of shake it up a little bit.
Hmm.
That hasn't been the most common thing, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Before. And then uh like I said, I think it's just a matter of the way that people are getting to therapy and the modalities that are being created. I think that's part of the trends that are happening. I will say that a lot of people are doing a lot of subscription services for therapists.
Hmm.
And be honest with you, on the consumer side, it does seem like the best thing ever. But on the therapist side, when I was a part of those subscription services, when I worked for, I didn't think that it was ethical for me to do it, because I wouldn't be able to provide that client with the same safety measures that I provide my clients in my own practice. So that's what I'll say about that. But that's been a trend too, that there's been a lot of subscription service therapy modalities where they have, like, you sign in and you pay a monthly subscription and you see therapists online only. So,
Okay, for sure, for sure. Now, as far as I know, we didn't have time because we had the conversation, but you said, like, if y'all want to know the information to get in contact with her, you still gonna
yeah.
put the information in the chat. So,
No, I
like,
just tried to. I
oh,
actually signed in while you were talking, and it said this comment has failed to post to North End Floyd, so it won't let me post it.
okay. Well, just I guess if you give me the info, then I will post it on there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
As
maybe
far as
let me see if I can put it in a private chat for you, because when I tried to do it for them, it didn't work.
Yeah, and then I'll just make my own post as far as, like, having the information for everybody that's seen the show, and I will make the same post in the comments, so if everybody who is watching the show can have it both ways and stuff. Because not everybody watched the show. Some people right now are having a good time. They're out eating with their family. They're doing whatever it is they do to enjoy themselves. So a
Yeah.
lot of people watch the show later on
Oh,
and
it was
on other
bad.
platforms and stuff. So
Yeah, for sure. And I know that you say, like, they always say they missed the show, and you're like, you did not miss the show. Just go back and just pull it up, and you can watch it.
okay, yeah,
So for sure.
I do see it in the private chat as far as, yeah, I got it.
I'm fixing it because it put it all together and didn't let me hit enter to separate it. So I'm fixing it for you so it doesn't look so wacky.
Yeah, I don't know why it's in blue like that. That's kind of weird. I guess that's just the chat color. So I'm gonna have
I
to
don't
switch
have
it over.
access. You didn't give me access to do anything.
Oh, for real? I do have access to let people do stuff on there too, but I'm gonna
Well,
have to
you didn't
start
do
doing
it
that.
today.
Because a lot of people, they just when I have them on the show and stuff or whatever, we just have But I'm gonna start doing that. I'm gonna start. I guess that's something in 2025. I'm gonna have to start, like, making an initiative to do, is asking the people that come on the show, like, hey, you can do this, do this, do that. So that's something that I have to do on my own. Appreciate
Okay.
you, Miss Adams. Thank you. She gave the hand
For
claps and
sure.
stuff like that, for sure.
For sure. I
Um,
appreciate all of you guys in the chat today. You guys were on it. Y'all stayed on it. I promise you, if Floyd would let y'all, we'd be on here for a whole other 45 minutes, because y'all had them questions coming. And I
yeah,
do
it's a
appreciate
lot.
it.
It's a
I
lot
do
that I
appreciate it.
had missed and scrolled over, but when you conversating, we having a conversation. Maybe I gotta have somebody on the side going through the comments while we have the conversation. Maybe that's something I gotta do too, as far as as improving the show. But you know,
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate everybody for coming, and I also appreciate you for coming on. I'm definitely gonna have to have you come on a lot more. You already know how we used to do, so bring you back on the show when you're free and when you need to. You know how it is. You know how we do. So
But for sure, that's what I say. Just let me know. You know how I do. I look at the schedule, and if I can accommodate, I put you on the schedule, and I'll be here.
All right, I thank you for coming on. I appreciate your time coming on the show on this Friday. Reintroduction of yourself. So thank you so much.
For sure. Thank you guys. Have a good one.
All right, for sure. All right, so look, man, look. I told y'all this was gonna be a dope, informative show, episode 178, man, featuring licensed therapist Trina Rose Frazier. Hold on, let me see if I hit the right button. Nope, that's not it. Dope show, bro. Dope show. Like I said, man, featuring Trina Rose Frazier, therapist out here at Southeast Texas. I will be posting the information where you can get in contact with her and you can take it from there. But like I said, man, I appreciate everybody for rocking out on the show. This is also on YouTube. It is also on Apple Podcasts. It's on Spotify. Like I said, it's on iHeartRadio. So when you're in the car, if you're working out, whatever you're doing, if you're cooking, you can listen to this audio version of this show, man. Tomorrow, Saturday, 7:30, 7 o'clock. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's just like a freestyle show Saturday. Yeah. A few topics that I might address, indulge in, man. We had some stuff that happened in the city starting New Year's off, and yeah, I will address that. This wasn't the show to address all those things. But tomorrow, yeah, we're gonna have some fun. We're gonna rock out. Hey, I know we've been doing a dating game show. So if you're looking for somebody, you could call in. You could call in and give your specs, your specifications of what you're looking for in a man or a woman. But yes, tomorrow, episode 179. You know what I'm saying? Saturday Night Vibes. We're going to have a good time, man. So I appreciate y'all for listening to the show. Look, man, if you're living in Southeast Texas, Beaumont specifically, y'all be safe out there tonight. Prayers to everybody that's going out to have a good time. Prayers to the officer that was hurt last night or hurt this morning. They say he's in serious conditions. But like I said, man, we'll address that tomorrow night on the show. But like I said, man, y'all be safe out there. Y'all be blessed. I love everybody. Love every one of y'all, especially the ones who was tapping into the show. So we go see y'all Saturday, man. Like I say, y'all be safe. I'm out of here. 100.